Hello, and welcome to the Libri Labra Book Club. I'm joined today by my husband, John, and book club VIP member, Tom Brennan. And today we're going to be talking about The Last Wish by Andrzej
Sapkowski.
Andrzej
Andrzej Sapkowski.
Yeah, they can say better than I can.
Andrzej Sapkowski, yes.
And so this is some of the short stories from the Witcher series. I think this was like the first one that was published, and it is a collection of the short stories which the Netflix series was based on. So we will quickly talk about our initial thoughts, and then we'll jump into spoiler territory. So if you haven't played the game, if you haven't read the books, and you haven't watched the Netflix series, and you don't want to be spoiled, then come back at another time. But this was my selection for January. I picked 3 books, but I was really excited about reading these. I received it as a Christmas gift, which was super awesome because I was like, oh, I really want to read it. And then Jeff got it for me for Christmas. So I was like, well, now I have to read it. And I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty cool. I liked that I had already seen the Witcher series, so I can kind of picture things a little bit better. There were a couple of areas where I felt a little lost, but for the most part, I liked finding out more about Geralt. Is that how you say his name?
Mm-hmm. Geralt.
And I enjoyed it.
I liked it a lot too. But I had never actually played the games themselves. She purchased The Witcher 3 for me, and I started it. But then I was like, wait a minute, I want to know the other parts of the story. So before I go into Witcher 3, because there's 1 and 2,
but those are
those
PC.
are hard to come. Yeah, those are hard to come by for me because we're console people. And then, of course, there's a book about it. I didn't actually look into it until the Witcher series started happening, and I'm enjoying consuming this media, this IP.
Before I let Tom share his thoughts, you left the door open and you let the cat in. So if you want to go feed him, because he's going to bother us the whole time if not.
Yeah.
Look, the child is surprised.
He's telling us. I don't know where to put this.
It's fine.
It's totally planned, by the way.
He will, yeah.
Really?
If we don't feed him when
way.
he says, he will come and he'll paw at me until I get up.
What about this one?
Mm-hmm.
She's fine. She's sleeping. She
No,
can
she's
stay
not.
back there. The other one can stay back there. She's quieter. So I'll give it a second or two because I want John to hear what your thoughts are.
Well, have you? So you haven't played the games either?
I have not. No, I have not.
Okay.
We have, like you said,
Me-
we have Witcher 3, but I haven't played it.
I started The Witcher 1 way back when, but I haven't looked at it since. My order is that game, but I barely remember it. Seeing the Netflix series and now reading the Last Wish. So.
Okay.
Okay. So what I was saying is that I was going into the fact that I like fantasy type books, and this hits the spot for me.
Okay. So go ahead, Tom. What are your initial thoughts?
Just how much they took out of this book to make the series, and unfortunately, what's I going to say? Unusual for me is that I actually saw the series before I read the book, so I can't help thinking of one without the other. So it's going to have a lot of Witcher Netflix commentary on it.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's kind of hard not to.
I'm really hoping that because they're probably going to do another season, that they'll put the rest of the stories in that and keep adding to the story.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of books in the series.
Yeah, I understand the next book that you should read is another set of short stories, I think.
Okay.
I
like them.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that it was installments.
Mm-hmm.
I think because Jeff bought me 2 books. I think the next one is Storm of something or other, Storm of Seasons, or I don't know if it's on here. No, I don't think it's on here. So, which came later on, but the short stories take place during season 1, something like that. I don't know. So that's what I was planning on reading next.
Okay.
But I guess we'll see. So at this point, we'll jump into spoiler territory. I didn't take a ton of notes, but there were a couple of things that I thought were interesting. And one was, I don't know, do you want to go like story by story?
If you want to.
Okay.
Hey, so it's your discussion. You can do what you want.
Okay.
And now we'll draw Geralt. No, I'm kidding.
I'm trying to think. Oh, the one about the king. I liked the titles of the stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he does incorporate them into the story, which I thought was cool.
What was the king's name? You're talking about the one that had a daughter with a sister. And
yeah, that guy. Yeah. That guy.
And then it became a Striga.
Unless it's just The Witcher. I don't think so. I thought it had another name.
Was that the voice of reason? Wasn't it like the very first?
Well, the voice of reason comes up multiple times.
No, but I mean, hang on. I have to look at the table of contents. Give me a second. Yeah, The Witcher. I think it was chapter 5 on ebook, I guess.
Yeah, because that's the one that's a little bit longer. So that's the one where they're talking about the Striga. I mean, I wasn't expecting to encounter that one so early on because of the fact that I don't think it's till later on in the series, and unless I missed it or whatever, I don't think we get too much of Yennefer until later on either. Whereas in the series, they kind of start things off with her.
I think they told a little bit more of her backstory in the TV adaptation. They told a little bit more of her story first, which I'm pretty sure we get that later in the books.
Now, is that what Jay Kristoff meant when he said, forget your prologue? That he was saying that...
No, I think he... Do you think he read the books?
I don't think he read the books.
Because that's important, actually. The idea of a prologue is different, and when you're actually jumping around the way this is. Like, I really don't think they actually... Maybe the prologue for this is later.
Okay.
Because I don't think we came across all that information about Yennefer and all the stuff that happened in their youth.
Okay. What did you think about the way the stories were laid out? I know that I guess they had originally been published on some website, and then so it's kind of just a collection, but there must have been still some thought put into how he structured them or put them in the book. Did you find that it was fine the way it was laid out? Do you think it should have been laid out any differently?
That's hard to say because, again, we have a sort of continuity from the series. Like, if you saw the series first, that already sets up, okay, this occurred this, and then this occurred this. So that's a tough question to answer.
It's true.
I don't think... Well, I think there's... the one... Now, I could be wrong, but there's a story where he actually meets Yennefer, and there's another one where they fight the Djinn, right? Or is that...
That's him telling the story, I think. Because that comes right after someone was like, well, how did you guys meet? And then I think that ends that story. And then the next story is
like his
them
flashback
fishing,
of them
fishing at the,
Okay.
So,
and that's kind of what I mean. Like, he's having this discussion with Nene. What was her name?
Who, Yennefer?
No, Nene something.
Melita?
The one who actually asks him, "How did you meet her?" I forgot her name.
She was the lady.
Yeah.
Melita. Yeah, I think it was.
And so, he's like, "Oh, I have these jewels. I have these things. I want her to have them." And she's like,
"That'll just make you look."
Yeah, she's just gonna, just gonna be more pissed at you and chill. And then that's when she asked, how did you meet her? So it's like it had already happened. And there were a few areas where you can see that he's battling with something that had already happened. And then they're like, okay, well, this is the thing that happened.
I think that's what I like about this book the most, or how it's actually how the story itself is set up in multiple short stories, because it leaves the story open for certain twists and turns where you don't expect it, because it's something that already happened. And then when you actually probably would have to read it a couple times to put to draw all the lines that fit where they're supposed to go, because it's jumping around like that leaves it to where you could be surprised by the outcome still.
In regards to, I feel like the story about the king, I feel like is my least favorite out of all of them.
Okay.
I don't know why.
With the Striga?
Yeah. Like, I guess that was interesting. I don't know. I don't know why I don't like that one as much as the others. I'm trying to kind of think about what it is about it. Well, what were your thoughts on the story?
On that one specifically?
On that one specifically, because that one's kind of like the first one. Like, it was broken up into like these little pieces where in the audiobook there was like a 7-minute chapter, then an hour-long chapter, and like the hour-long ones were like the main stories, I felt like.
Well, they did put more detail and more thought into the world building, so it's probably, it could be one of the reasons why you didn't like it, because it was like kind of a lot of the setup to the world itself, and it was a little drawn out. There was a story, like each one has its own built-in moral or whatever he's dealing with. Something has to come out one way or the other, and I think a lot of his character is built on it'll work out the way it should. Like
but isn't the whole world kind of like that?
Are you suggesting Destiny has a hand in that?
I was
right? The fact it's all wrapped around the idea of destiny. So he seems very, very nonchalant about his choice making, just because he's like, whatever, it's gonna work out.
I mean, if we're gonna talk about Geralt as a character, I think he's kind of taken a lot of things off the table in regards to, like he lives by his own set of rules, but if that means never killing humans, I feel like he's able to keep a certain part of his life not messy. I mean, it doesn't always end up that way, but he tries by saying, I'm not going to kill humans. I'm not an assassin for hire. I'm not. So when he has to focus on just like monster killing, I kind of feel like that makes his life a little bit easier.
Oh, quite possibly.
I don't know. That's just how I think about it. Because he's like, like he doesn't want to deal with other people's drama. And he definitely doesn't want to get in the middle of stuff. And he seems pretty moral.
I just like his reaction every time he ends up entwined in those situations.
Yep.
It's really like, great, now I got to deal with this.
But that's take on the humans or the monsters trope, sort of thing.
Some humans are those monsters.
What is she doing right now? Did you have any comments on the incestuous king?
Is that what your problem is with it, though?
I don't know if that's my problem with it. Tom.
I see. Again, I'm thinking of the episode that this appeared in. So Foltest was the king, correct?
Foltest, yes.
Yes, and he supposedly impregnated his sister, and then we have Ada, and she was cursed by the counselor. I can't remember his name offhand.
Was it Vesemir?
Vesemir.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I think it's kind of the thing where let me think. With that particular story, in the series, you're just exposed to The Witcher, and we're learning how things work. And same here in the books, but I don't know. I think the books just gave a better description overall of what was going on and what, why he was doing what he was doing, sort of a thing. Like, for example, I don't recall this in the series, but it could be there. When he fights the Striga in the book, he, has her on the ground and he bites her neck, which shows, hey, I could kill you right now if I wanted to, but I'm not. And that's what ends the fight. But I don't remember that being in the series.
I don't remember that either.
All right, I'm gonna kick her out.
Uh-oh. Bouncer.
Obnoxious cats being obnoxious.
Say hi.
Say bye.
Hashtag cat life.
And that's only 2 of them. I'm glad the third one is like, he's 16 and he just chills. Yeah, maybe it's just that I don't, for whatever reason, I don't find that story as memorable. The Falstest one, I don't know. But John's coming back. I don't know. I'm trying to be structured in my thoughts and it's not working. What was the story after that? The one with the monster?
I believe there are 2, maybe a third, but I know there's 2 stories in there that was not in the series TV adaptation. And one of them is really nice, and I like that. And I'm hoping it shows up in season 2.
So I had more trouble in the beginning than I did have later on, and I don't know if that's because I was coming across stories that weren't in the series, but I was recognizing certain words that he was saying. It might have been like the names of monsters, but I still couldn't visualize some of it. And so I was just asking myself, was this in the series? Was this not? I don't know. So I was a little lost with the story with the monster because I think I was trying to force it into what I watched, and it might not have been, if that makes sense. It wasn't? Okay.
You're talking about the guy who comes, the monster he comes across, like, and he invites him into his home, has tea with him, has a conversation.
Yeah.
And then come to find out that, and because the monster was actually rotating through farmers' daughters,
yes,
and giving them money and riches for this. And then turns out he ended up falling in love with another monster, the vampiress that was manipulating him, but then ended up she actually did love him.
All right, I might have to go back and reread that one and try to just read it for what it was and not try to jam it into my memories.
Somebody from the local tavern had requested the Witcher to go check on this area because people were disappearing. So they described the monster guy, and then when he met them, he realized he was just a cursed dude. And then he met the real monster afterwards. And what was funny is they used Roach to give it away. Because horses sometimes know.
Sometimes horses know. I think I'm just having trouble reading this discussion.
That's the story that I enjoyed most, actually.
Really?
Yeah, because of there was like 2 or 3 different areas in there where it laid out the options for what the character should be doing, and then you come to find out that he makes the better choice, and you're like, what are you doing? And then it all works out in the end.
There were some parts in the book that had me thinking about global warming.
Odd place for it, but okay.
I think it was the story. Hold on, I think I held on to it.
Oh, I think I know the one you mean. And I think this was actually kind of in the series. I can't remember the name of the monster, but that was the one that was pelting him with stones.
I think so. It was the one with the... What was his name? Torque? Because the Torque guy was helping the elves.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what I have highlighted here is Torque spoke the truth. Yes, we are starving. Yes, we are threatened with annihilation. The sun shines differently. The air is different. Water is not as it used to be. The things we used to eat, made use of, are dying, diminishing, deteriorating. We never cultivated the land. Unlike you humans, we never tore at it with hoes and plows.
Mm-hmm.
And to you, the earth pays a bloody tribute. Its bestowed gifts on us. You tear the earth's treasures from it by force. Mm-hmm. For us, the earth gave birth and blossomed because it loved us. Well, no love lasts forever, but we still want to survive. And just that comparison of how, like, the elves consider the earth and the treasures of the earth, and how
and how rude we are about
treat it. Yeah. So that was something I highlighted and I thought was pretty cool.
There's also bad blood between the elves and the humans to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I recall the lore correctly, they had that event, like it was like the alignment of the spirits or something like that, and the elves taught humans how to do magic, and then the humans used it to annihilate them pretty much and take their land. Because the land that the farmers are in that hired Geralt in that story was the Elvish land that before it was. So it's like, adding insult to injury.
Humans are shitty.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently we know it and don't care.
Mm-hmm. Again, humans as monsters.
Yeah. That was the other thing that I highlighted here, which I really liked how it was written. It says, people like to invent monsters and monstrosities. They seem less monstrous themselves. When they get blind drunk, cheat, steal, beat their wives, starve an old woman, when they kill a trapped fox with an axe or riddle the last existing unicorn with arrows, they like to think that the bane entering cottages at daybreak is more monstrous than they are. They feel better then. They find it easier to live. Those monstrous humans. This was a translation, so I know that things get lost in translation. I mean, I'm never going to know Polish, so I can't go back and read it in its original text, but I can't help but wonder, like, what we might have lost within the translation, because there's usually, like, just awkwardness in the way some things are translated. I don't know if you got the chance to see the author interview that I posted on Goodreads.
I have not yet.
Okay. He's not at all who I was expecting him to be. I don't know. Maybe it's just that I hadn't given it much thought. I thought he was like a younger dude, but he's actually older, and he still has a pretty good sense of humor. So hearing him just be funny in a different language, not his native language, was just kind of cool. I thought it was a good interview.
Well, this is tangential to the book. Recall that, when he was first approached for the video game rights, he said he sold them for a lump sum, which was really, really small, and he didn't expect it to go anywhere.
Oh my gosh!
And then it exploded, and then he sued. To say,
did he?
Yeah, he did. Oh, you didn't read about this?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he actually sued. I forget what the outcome was, but I think it was settled where he got more money because. It was just so overpowering. Again, don't at me at the corrections or anything. Look it up online. But I think that's what happened.
What would have been the basis of the suing, though? Like, what was he saying? What was he claiming? That he was taken advantage of?
Again, I'd have to look it up. But
right.
Yeah. But it was kind of he nobody really expected it to go anywhere. Or to be as hugely popular as it is now.
I know, like, a lot of people think the series is based on the video games instead of being based on the books.
Right.
Which is unfortunate because it definitely deserves the attention. John and I were talking about Dandelion.
Dandelion?
Jaskier?
Yes.
Yeah. Dandelion.
But,
from the books, yes.
I never actually saw it spelled out. I listened to it. So every time you said Dandelion, she was like, it's spelled dandelion.
I'm like, exactly spelled dandelion, yes.
Okay.
And so it took me a little while. I was like, wait, isn't this the bard? Isn't this the Lucas dude? And so I couldn't remember his name in the show, and I had to look it up. So
yeah,
I guess they used his original name in the Netflix series, but I think Jaskier also like translates to some kind of a flower.
Jaskier?
I think that's what I read.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering why they chose to change names in some of the stories.
Well, maybe that actually was one of the translations that was lost.
Because even I think they changed Dunny's name, didn't they? Dooney?
No. She called him Dooney.
She called him Dooney. I'm not talking about the Dooney part. His like actual name.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Like that was her pet name for him or whatever.
What time is it?
4:43.
Okay.
What time do you have to take off?
About 5-ish. A little bit after 5.
There was a few things in that story, in the engagement story, that I didn't feel were really captured in the episode. Like I feel like I got a lot more information from the short story.
Same.
As you should.
Like in the Netflix series, you could tell that she wanted the Witcher there for a certain reason, but I think the way it was just like written out and laid out was a lot more elegant.
Yeah. Well, did you pay attention to the conversation they had at the table in the series?
I mean, I thought I did.
But there definitely was more in the book between them, and because there was more inferred information between them, like what she was saying, you could tell it was done in such a way that it meant she wanted him to kill somebody, not something. And when he figured that out, he was like, that's not what I do. Mm-hmm. And then she, as a queen, tried to force his hand in many ways. So it's there was a little bit lost on the series, but I think they captured the idea there. It's just, I mean,
what I didn't realize from watching the series was that The Witcher had been a child of surprise.
I realized that, but I didn't realize that now Ciri is his child of surprise, so she's now destined to become a Witcher because that's how they're made.
Correct.
Right. Yeah. I didn't realize that while watching the series.
Yeah, same. Okay, good.
Because I knew there was something special about her, but she's what was the name for it? I don't know what they use as a name for it, but
for what?
Almost some like for a person born with magic.
The Force.
Is that what it? I mean, that's how they refer to it in the book. I thought they had another name.
Is it? That's great.
Yeah.
It's all got to come from somewhere.
Sorry, George.
Because her mom, I mean,
that's where you got it from.
Yeah. Another lawsuit.
The grandma Calanthe, when they realized that her daughter Pavarda, was that her name? Pavetta had the Force or whatever. They were worried that she was going to bring down the entire castle because it's like tied to their emotions or whatever.
Right.
And that
just like any mutant power.
Right, but you have to
learn to control
it. Right. And but that it makes them go insane. But there was something else. Oh, they made it very blatant in the book that she wasn't a virgin because you couldn't have that power if you were a virgin. I think that's what they said.
So she's already...
Who, Pavetta?
Yeah.
Yeah. She was pregnant then.
Oh,
I know.
Okay.
I know she was pregnant then, but like before she threw up, you didn't really know that.
Right.
Where the conversation was a little bit more detailed in the book about her not being a virgin, and
it's like you tell everybody in the room all of a sudden that
But I feel like the end of that story was handled a little bit better on the show than it was in the books.
It ended the same way.
No, it doesn't. She doesn't throw up in the story.
Oh, but it's inferred in another way.
Yeah, it was pretty clear that she was pregnant, but
yes, but I think the way it was painted in the show, I thought was a little bit better than the way it was said in the.
I mean, you can do things visually that you can't.
But not just because it's visual. The way they did it, like I felt like it carried a little bit more emotional weight. Because Calanthe was like, as soon as she threw up, she was like, "What have you done?" Because he was like, "Fine, I'll take the child. I'll take the law of surprise, whatever." And he just wanted them to leave him alone.
Right.
And then she throws up, and they were like, "What have you done?"
Yeah, I think in the series they explained it that Dooney said, I'm in debt to you, but I don't want to have that debt hanging over my, my entire life. So take the law of surprise, and so he does, and that sets up.
But at that point, did Dooney know that she was pregnant? Because that's like right then and there, he's handing over his daughter or his next of kin. That's it.
But what I thought was strange was that I know you're saying that's how Witchers are created, but they did a lot to Geralt to get him to where he's at. Like, they did a lot of crazy experiments on him. Mm-hmm. Now, what happens when you take someone that naturally has the Force and then create them to be a Witcher? Like, aren't you like creating a god at that point? That's a lot of power, is it not, to be combining?
Well, how do they train sorcerers like Yennefer?
She's pretty badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, but does Yennefer... I don't know. It just seems like a lot of... It would be like taking Yennefer and then mutinizing her and making her even more powerful than she is.
Well, I think it's also... in Citra's case and in Yennefer's case, it's a question of controlling that natural power. Whereas with Geralt, I understood that they did experiments on him. They went really, really well, so they could do more advanced and more complex experiments. And he survived those as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why he's as powerful as he is.
So, but to get more technical, is being a Witcher just that you're a person that kills monsters? Or is it all those experiments that added all those experiments? Extra?
Because, you could be a fighter and just kill monsters, but he's like a spell sword in the sense that he has a magical, augments. He does potions. Yeah. He does everything.
The Ard Force push and then a bunch of different things.
Right.
Oh, and he has the medallion. Whenever something happens, right. The medallion tells him.
Detect magic.
Yeah.
If we're going with D&D, detect.
Yeah. Magic. Right. Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'm eager to find out what happens with Citra. Is that her name?
Well, I think we're going to see Geralt training her as a Witcher in season 2. So that's what we on this book, though.
Right.
But that's what the through line was, because Geralt has been in some sort of battle, and he is recovering at the temple, and they say, and it's like, oh, tell us a story, and this is so the stories could have happened anywhere in his timeline.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you make the distinction between stuff like with the Striga. Is that like core canon? Probably not. But clearly, the one we just talked about with Dooney and Pavetta, yeah, that clearly is, because that's the major story here. The other one adds color to the character, but this is actually a main event,
right?
In Galston, much like being the Butcher of Blaviken.
Yeah,
How's
yeah.
that
I thought that whole thing was because I was when that was actually said, you're the butcher of Blaviken. How you're not gonna have a problem here. And then I'm like, when did that happen? And then later on, we get the story.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's how he ended up becoming the butcher of Blaviken.
By killing Snow White.
Yeah.
Snow White?
Apparently, she has spent some time with 7 gnomes.
No.
She was a princess.
She was a
She
princess.
was trying to be poisoned by her. The whole thing ties.
Stepmother tried to poison her with an apple.
Yep.
And yeah, she was hanging out with the seven gnomes.
So the Witcher is actually the huntsman.
Wow.
But he does kill her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Spoilers, sorry.
No, but she refers to a huntsman. She said the huntsman tracked me down and raped me, she says.
Jesus Christ.
So and that was what she was like. I mean, she had reason to be raged.
Yeah.
And not want to forgive anyone. And she said that she was a princess, her hair was down to her ankles or some shit, and then she had to cut it off because it got lice in it, and that her hair never grew back nicely after that. So she had a pretty terrible tale to tell.
Well, I really think that Andrzej spent some time telling other stories, because then you got Stregobor putting girls in towers. So there's your Rapunzel story. I want to know how many of them he's going to hit from the Grimm's tales. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where did these actually come from? Are they, maybe they go further back than we know.
Mm-hmm. Well, and again, that's where the title of the story comes from. It's the lesser of two evils, because Renfrey wants him to kill Stregobor, and Stregobor wants to kill Renfrey. It's like, well, and I'm not sure how we get to the Butcher of Blaviken when he was the one who was attacked. Granted, yes, he decimated them all.
Well, no, it's with the politics of the situation. So someone saw some other person saw it, or even the town lead. What was his name? He was even don't get involved. And then when he saw it, got involved, and they're like, well, you just killed half my guard and so many people in the city.
Did they have that? That reminds me in the Jins. Oh, that's I don't think they did. It reminds me when in the Jin story where Yennefer, Geralt is under Yennefer's control, and she uses him to settle the scores in the neighborhood.
Yep.
And he has no recollection of it whatsoever. So sorry.
And there's really only one other person that knew that happened. So everybody thought that the witch just went mad and murdered many people.
Well, there was also something in there that I don't think I understood, because they didn't realize right away. They thought that Dandelion had, unleashed the genie, and it was his wishes, but it was actually the Witcher's wishes. So what were his actual 2 wishes? The first 2?
I really think that I think he accidentally inferred his I just want you to shut the fuck up for right now. I wish you would just
okay, so that he did that to him. Okay.
Correct.
All right. Yeah.
And then the second one was I think, did she actually repair him, or did he actually do that with a second wish? Because I didn't know where the second wish had gone. The third wish I know had to do with her dealing with the genie at the time, because he knew the genie was going to kill her as soon as he made the last wish. So his last wish was probably for the genie to leave her be afterwards.
It was more than that, though.
It was more. It definitely was. I didn't get
would never be that they would be forever linked or something along those lines.
That was when we knew he loved her, or maybe he wished that upon. I don't know. I never actually got all the details out of that last wish.
I think I'm gonna read that one.
Here it is.
I will too.
The first was him telling the Jinn to go fuck off in the original encounter.
Oh, okay. So that the incantation he said, and then everybody's like, that actually worked.
Yeah.
It's more of an insult than it is a.
Yeah, and then anything else. And then the second
Did
one.
we ever figure out what it was?
No.
Yeah, is it just go fuck off?
Yeah. And I think the second one, according to Reddit here, was when he was in prison and he had to burst the guard's head.
Oh, right. Okay, I do remember that.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, I wish he would just burst. And then he...
Boom. And then the last one, of course, is binding himself to Jennifer.
Right.
So, but what does that mean? He told the djinn to fuck off.
Basically.
So the djinn was angry, and he
Well,
heard...
I think the djinn would have killed at least Jaskier.
Can you actually see if there's a translation available for what he actually said?
It's in the book.
Yeah, but I don't know what the translation is. No, it's.
I know it's in the book. Let me see if I can find it.
He tells Yennefer,
it's like a half-assed translation. It's like it roughly means blah,
he said,
blah, blah.
I said this incantation, and she
burst out laughing.
Yeah, and she was just like, that's not an incantation.
Yeah,
it's not like a witty saying. But she doesn't tell him.
On page, what is it, 257 or 258 in my ebook, it says, but I'm still going to get the better of him. I'll break. Oh, wait, hopefully this is. No, it's the wrong one. Sorry. The one before that. Oh, well, said the priest, hiding behind the mayor's heavy oak table. It's your last wish, so I'll tell you. It means, essentially, get out of here and go fuck yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, because otherwise, the djinn would have killed Jaskier. Otherwise. Or Dandelion.
That's awesome, actually. That he's just like, I don't know what it is, but it's got to work. Right. And the djinn's like, okay.
But yeah, and that was because Geralt had the seal of the amphora in his hand. So he was the one who could make the wishes, apparently. So.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on Yennefer's? And this, I feel like this is more prevalent in the series than the books, but just her chasing her fertility that she kind of willingly gave up. Because.
Well, we know how that turns out because of the series, but.
Just, I mean, she knew what she was giving up
before they completely.
But she didn't.
Right. There was this. I'm sure there was this belief that she wouldn't need to have have a child or whatever. And now she wholeheartedly believes that there's some way to cure it, but.
She's willing to turn herself into a very ugly person to change.
To change back?
No, like to change, to chase her fertility. Like she's willing to.
Is she?
I mean.
It seemed like she was like, okay, well, I'm ugly and disfigured, and then, but we don't know this in the book. There's a lot of stuff that we don't know in the book because it's the
right. We don't know it
the series
to the same
that open that up.
To the same extent, but he is talking about how she wants to be a mother because he's trying to offer the stones for her to find a way or to pay for something. And the woman that he was talking to said that there are exceptions, but she wouldn't go beyond that. Like she wouldn't say who the exceptions are or why they're exceptions.
Right.
So.
But she said Yennefer is not one of them.
Mm-hmm. Whatever that means. I don't know. I don't know how much it comes up in later books and stories. I mean, I guess maybe she just didn't realize what she was sacrificing until after she sacrificed it.
Correct.
Well, that, and I think she also expected to be doing more than, being the court magician, essentially.
Well, doesn't she have like a need or a greed for power?
Oh, she does.
And being a control freak, if there's something you cannot control, you're going to want to fix that. You should know.
I should know. Okay.
Wow.
I'm saying because there's a lot of things that she's like when she doesn't have full control of the situation, her anxiety's through the roof.
Well, now we're talking about me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but when you actually have a magical world like this, someone with that kind of character will do whatever it takes to get that control back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think that is.
I don't know. I want to see more between Yennefer and Geralt, and I kind of want to know more about, the ins and outs of their relationship. But I think, I don't know if we'll ever get that from shit that I've heard. It sounds like it's just not answered.
What?
Those are the worst.
Just like I don't know that I don't know how deep their relationship goes. Like I'd want it to be deeper.
Yeah, but we know the end result. So from the series, not the book.
Right. Yeah.
So
I don't know.
I think we're looking to see a lot more out of Yennefer, and I mean, again, I'm probably thinking more about the series too, but because of the information they gave us on top of what was in the books,
right,
is that the character development for Yennefer is going to be a lot about how much she does and does not hate herself for the choices that she made, but yet is blaming the world for that choice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
there's something I was going to ask for. It went right out of my head. I can't think of it at the moment.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, continue. I'll, if I think of it, I'll think of it. Oh, that's what it was.
Glad I could help.
Yeah, it's kind of thing where seeing the series, I don't know, implanted a certain thing. I mean, to me, I don't know. I don't think it was explicitly spelled out how old Yennefer is. Yennefer actually is, and
it's true.
That it's like the actress that plays her is like 23, and Geralt, Henry Cavill was like 30. It has to be like 50. And the thing with the gray hair and such, it's like that was a little creepy for me in the series.
Well, you think he's 50 because he has gray hair?
Well, the 50s is just the way he acts. He's very world weary and such. I don't know how great old Geralt actually is in the books, but he's okay. Like seeing it all.
Both of them are supposed to have.
She's supposed to be like really old.
Yeah, but I don't think that was. I missed that in the series. But when I read the book, of course, that has to be what's going on because she's forever 23. But I don't know if they mentioned that in the.
But they did mention that his loss of pigment in his hair was due to all the experiments that they had performed on him. So, I mean, he could still be young and just has the white hair because of the experiments.
Well, it's explained that both of them have a genetic inability to age. So they both live for ungodly amount of time. So they're living for generations instead of just one or 3.
That kind of implies being elvish, but anyway. Well,
hers is magical in nature, and his is, I guess, it should be magical in nature because they actually explained that a lot of those mutations are due to the magic. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That the magic is like the thing that corrupts the physical form. Like cancer.
Okay.
But not.
I don't know. I wanted to hear more about what he's capable of.
Let's do it. More stories.
Well, yeah, there are more books. This is just the introduction to The Witcher.
So yeah, I'm hoping more of that is explained in the later books because I know people that have played the game have complained that it's still not explained in the game.
But what is not playing the game?
Like the way his magic works.
The way any magic works. Like Jay Kristoff went on a little rant on his Instagram about the Witcher and what he feels are plot holes and or mistakes in the story.
Cardinal sins in storytelling.
Yeah. He's like, there are things you just don't do, and you don't do this, but oh well, I've done that. And then he's So
I was gonna say, I'm sure there's an equal number of videos about his books.
If you're gonna use magic, you have to explain how that magic works, or you can't just use it as a plot device every time. That it's gonna do what you need it to do every time. So that was his big thing with it.
I mean, going to D&D again. I mean, it seemed like the magic use is more sorcery. Like you have an innate ability rather than you study tomes and you memorize spells and such.
Does he bring up D&D as well?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He said something about teleportation. And she's making portals, now they're clogging up this freaking mountain when she can just portal herself up there.
Right.
Freaking teleport. And
Wait,
he goes like, never use teleportation because it breaks your story.
Yeah, but I think I did.
It's like time travel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there is a reason why she had to do that though.
So, it doesn't thoroughly explain, but I just had it on the brain because I had watched his rant, and it says, Yennefer says, "Don't worry, my portals are safe." But it says, Geralt had once watched as only half a traveler using a safe portal flew through. The other half was never found. He knew of several cases where people had entered a portal and never been seen again.
So yeah, he has a problem with using the portal, and they don't explain that.
So, but it sounds like it may not be stable magic. You know what I'm saying? That's what it sounds like. So maybe that's why it wasn't used.
But that's why she had to explain to him, "Don't worry, my portals are safe." But yeah, he still has that anxiety.
Yeah, but then they exploit that in the last story where was it her portal? Like she had sent him to to safety, I guess, or to the portal, and then they said, "Oh, hey, there are still traces of this portal. We could still hold on to it. You could go back through it." And I was like, okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, and also, I think the djinn also, to get into the world, he's like, okay, this is clearly a big, stable portal that the djinn is creating. So it depends on the ability of the user to control the magic, I think.
Magic is chaos.
Magic is chaos.
Right.
And there was never explained as if whether or not any magic done has any lasting effects on the person or thing. So I'm curious to if that's going to be used in the future.
In the series, the implication is yes, it does, because you saw people like getting nosebleeds and such after they had used a certain number of magical rounds and such. So it does imply that you're channeling the force through your body, to me anyway, and that's how the magic works.
Right.
So.
Well, yeah, and then because in the series when they were first teaching Yennefer things, they had to use the flower to balance, like draw energy from the flower to balance things.
Correct.
The material component.
Right. But I mean, like when she had to help him in that fight, and when I'm thinking of the series at the moment, but it was in the book, but I don't know how if they did not explain it, and I pretty that was the first time everybody was like, "What the fuck was that?" So when she helped him do the AARD, the AARD spell to push the 4 guys back that were lunging at them, because what fight did she help him with? Because that was early on. Oh well. But the idea that they're like, how did you push so much more power into it? Because when we first see him do it, it's at the tavern at the beginning, and he pushes 2 guys away, and they don't go that far. But when she grabbed him and told him to use AARD, they launched like these 4 dudes crazy. So, but I just wanted to know how, like, where that balance comes from. Like, what did she use to help him with that, or whose life force is being drained for this?
Well, it's not clear as if he's using not the correct sign, or like not using the most efficient sign, or she's helping him with her magic, that sort of things. Like, because they both clearly are spellcasters, but she's obviously more advanced than he is. So,
well, do you guys want to do final thoughts?
Yeah,
Sure.
I gotta go.
I'll let you go first.
Yay! Yes to The Witcher, 5 stars.
Oh, okay.
there you have it.
So my final thoughts are:
that.
I'm ready to dive into this,
To
like,
more of the
because
series.
there's more in this world I want to see. A lot of people hate you probably are one of them, that you dislike the jumping timeline bit, but I really enjoy it because of what it leaves for storytelling.
I didn't hate it in this case. I mean, I think there are times when I do, and I struggle with it a lot, but I think the way they show it in the book was fairly clear, and so
okay,
it wasn't as confusing as it was in the series. But even in the series, it was still somewhat clear. You just had to be paying attention to where they put the signs.
Exactly.
So
I pay attention to these things.
So people were, I don't know, who knows how many people were watching the show while on their phones and not catching everything. But I didn't mind the time jumping. So you say 5 stars.
See.
Okay. Tom, how about you?
I give it 4. I will certainly continue the series. I saw this, and I'm guessing the series compared to Game of Thrones. Like, no, they're 2 different things.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say.
The reason why it's being compared to Game of Thrones is because it's what has taken that fantasy TV spot right now, like in reality. Like it was the next Game of Thrones is actually a tagline that somebody used to sell it. So,
right.
People were comparing it to Xena and Hercules. Was it Hercules?
I didn't think to go back that far. It could compare.
They were comparing it to that. They were saying like it's slightly upgraded than that,
less cheesy.
But kind of in the same budget and realm ish.
Budget.
Like
I think it's right up there.
It definitely didn't have Game of Thrones budget.
No.
Well, no, it's more, and I tend to think now that you brought it up, it's more along the lines of the CW shows where they have like the villain of the week. Well, let's have the monster of the week or the monster of the episode, and here we go.
Yeah,
here's the story. So
no, I think the way it's being put together is really good because it's supposed to be told in short stories.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how it'll change when it's not, when it's no longer. Like, I wonder if they're going to try to go through all of the books.
As an IP making money, they should.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
It also depends on the writers and how Andre feels about everything.
Yeah, I would.
He might not have a choice at this point.
I would check out the interview that I posted in Goodreads. So I would also give it 4 stars. I enjoyed it. I was excited to jump into it because I liked the series, the Netflix show, and so I was excited to jump into it, but I was also a little hesitant because I heard other people complaining about the short story format and they just weren't interested in the stories. And so I'm glad that didn't turn out to be the case for me because I did enjoy it. And
well, a lot of series TV right now is bent on these cliffhangers. It's all written in such a way that you're like, okay, well, right here's where we're going to stop so that next week they can find out what just happened.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it was built that way like many years ago to keep audience retention, and now that's what everybody's used to. So when you get a one that's each episode is a story in itself, I don't think anybody is as interested as they should be.
But I'm talking about the book. They were talking about the short stories in the book.
Oh, the people didn't like the book part of it?
Yeah, they weren't interested in the short stories. That's
they're not readers.
Stop it. But I do give it 4 stars, and I'm eager to jump into more of the books. So, next month you have provided some selections.
I did.
And
the only thing I know that came out is...
And we will be reading... This is hard to see.
Unwind. Stop facing it towards the light.
Unwind by Neil Shusterman. And this is the first book in the the Unwind
Wow.
series.
That light is bad. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Get it past the light. There you go. Oh, upside down. Okay.
There you go.
So that's what we'll be reading for February. If you haven't read it yet and you wanted to, please join us. If you've already read it, hop on in the discussion when we have the discussion towards the end of February.
Come talk to us.
That's what we'll be reading next. So I'm excited about that. Although the audiobook completely disappeared from Audible and wherever else it existed.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah.
I didn't know this was a series of books.
Oh, you didn't know?
Nope.
You should have picked Dry, because that
Dry.
was just a single.
A standalone?
Yeah.
Okay.
But whatever.
But these are all standalone, right? But they're all individual stories?
This is part of the
it actually is a trilogy.
No.
I think it's 4 books, actually.
Yeah.
Oh.
4 books. What do they call that? Not trilogy.
The Unwind Quadrology, I guess? I don't know.
Dystology or
Quartet?
something?
Quadrology? I don't know.
There's 4 books.
Yeah, there's 4.
We're just going to leave it at 4 books.
So
is this the first?
Yes.
Good.
Of course.
All right, that's all I care about right now. Wait a minute, I didn't screw up, did I? Okay.
So yeah, that's the first one. So that's what we'll be reading for February. For anybody popping in, thanks for hopping in. Feel free to leave a comment and let us know what you thought about The Witcher, whether it be the series or the books. We'd love to continue this conversation. And other than that, thanks for joining us, Tom. Thanks for being here as well. And we'll see you next time. Oh, actually, no. Just so you know, if you ever want to join us on camera during these discussions, you can do that by heading over to the Libri Labra Patreon, patreon.com/Libri Labra. There are quite a few perks for signing up as a book club VIP member. You get put in the rotation where you get to select books for the book club to read, and you will be invited to our exclusive Facebook book club chat. And you get a custom bookmark, and there are a few other perks. So check that out at patreon.com/Libri Labra. All right, but that's it. And we'll see you next time. Bye.